Hi,
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Are you at which country?
The Netherlands.
Netherlands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Good for you.
You were in.
New York?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's 6 hours with me.
6 hours back. Yeah, yeah. I love the Netherlands.
Have you ever been here?
No, I would love to come. I love what I see about the Netherlands. My ancestry is Dutch and Swiss, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
just, yeah, adjacent. So that's a dream to come there.
Mm,
Yeah, I want to know about, I mean, I know a little about how you came to verticals, but what inspired you to decide you wanted to take the leap to talk to, to sit down and talk with people that were doing them? Just your interest in the form and the actors, or?
yes, that's where it started.
Mhm.
Because of my interest in the space itself, but also mainly, of course, you guys. But also, yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a format to talk about your experience, what you like, what you don't like, etc.
That's,
And
yeah.
also, I always, not always, but whenever a new actor that comes into the vertical space, I like to talk to them as well,
Mhm.
help them a little.
Well, that's helpful and appreciated because it does, as it's changing, over only been involved since I guess 2024, maybe March of 2024. And so it's been since that time. And um, yeah, I mean, it's nice to be able to meet other people who are both fans of the verticals and also other vertical actors in the space between, you know, Los Angeles and New York. And I've traveled a couple of other places to work on them as well. So it's been a great opportunity. And it's largely driven by, by you all, by your interest in the work and giving, actors a platform to speak. So that's much appreciated.
Of course, I like to do this. So, um, to get into the first question, I said a little about me. Can you maybe share a little bit about who you are and how you started, things like that?
Mhm. Yeah, I am resident of New York City, and I was born in the Midwestern part of the United States, in Indiana. And I started performing, I think, when I was very little. I had this idea that I wanted to produce shows in the backyard in the summer. And so I would um, gather my favorite songs and all of the kids from the neighborhood, and we would put on a variety show every summer for all the families in the neighborhood. And I think that partly put me in a position to become a producer later on in my life. I have a theater company, and we work on Eastern European, basically what's called absurdist theater, which includes, many authors, but a few of the authors that would be considered in that group are Samuel Beckett and Franz Kafka, Eugene Ionesco, um, Boris Vian. There are, a number. It's a loosely defined group, but and it's particularly relevant, I think, in today's world in America, anyway, with things the way they are, we are going. So that company has been around for 20 years now, and we're a very small company, a couple hundred $100,000 a year budget. So not large company at all, but um, I produce and direct for that company for many years. And I'm a mom, so when my son was growing up, I was in the business in film and television many years ago, and then my son was born, and I started the theater company. And once I started the theater company, and he was in school and whatnot, he's now off and in he's often doing his thing. So and then COVID happened, and that presented another opportunity for me to come back to uh, film and television. So I did, and I discovered this format in 2024, and so I have been working since then, and continuing to work in other areas. But I've really enjoyed my time here.
How did Verticals came across your path? Did you see it on like the acting websites or something?
I think it was either an Actors Access or in here in America or in Backstage. It was a general. I mean, it was a specific casting call for a character, but um, I worked on one and I really enjoyed it. And then they started just kind of happening from there. There were a number of companies that producing in New York at the time back in 2024, 2025. So um, yeah, then it just kind of took off from there, and I met some really great actors that it's a common theme that you hear, I think, is that the people are so wonderful. So I met a lot of really nice people in New York that in fact, I was talking to one this morning who is we were talking about an upcoming job in Los Angeles that oh, we're not on the same job, but we were discussing that. So I've made some really great friends, which I hope will be friends for life.
I had something in my head what I want to say. Yeah. Were your first thoughts when you arrived on that first set, and what do you remember the name of that vertical?
Oh my gosh, I believe the first one was. I always have to look these things up, y'all, because I don't remember. I will remember. It might have been Bird in the Cage, maybe. Uh, I have to look back at the list, which I have in front of me. I want to say Bird in the Cage, but it might have been the one. I'll get you the name here in a second. I should have the list, but anyway, it was one of the ones that was working, in New York at the time. And my first thoughts, I guess, was that it very closely the sort of format of it and the what it requires, I think, or my interpretation of what it requires for the of your instrument is not dissimilar to what is kind of required in absurdist theater, which is sort of a heightened stylistic form. Um, it's not it's it's different than naturalism in a way,
Mhm.
which doesn't mean you don't bring all of the authentic feeling and what um, you know what the character is going through to the table, but it's a little more compressed, it seemed to me. And I was very happy about noticing how the similarities between the two forms, between the sort of the theatrical aspect of vertical. Because when I first started auditioning, I did have questions. I remember the woman that was helping me, that was reading for me on one of those first ones that I did. I said to her, this really reminds me of, and I'm really dating myself now because this is an old television series way, 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 way back in the day. And I was a kid, but I remember it very well, called Dallas. So it was a soap opera, and it had also reminded me of the daytime soap operas back in the day. And And I said to my reader, I said to the woman, the friend who was my friend, I said, this strikes me as sort of heightened and, very much in that soap opera vein. What do you think? Because I didn't have a whole lot of knowledge at that point of this particular format. And she said, I don't know, let's just give it a go and see how, see what we come up with here. But we were talking over, is it, what is the level of humor? What is the level um, of camp in it. So there was a lot of early on, for me anyway, trying to obviously look at examples of it, but also trying to like instinctively mind my way through, like, what do I think this calls for in this moment? And still to this day, I was doing a couple of auditions this week and they were for very different styles. One was a werewolf and one was a like a rom-commy and one was, so there were different tones and different just like in any film, you have a television show, but it's what is really fun, I think, is sort of getting the script and trying to figure out what world does this one live in, and then trying to interpret from the direction, which is, in the audition, like, what do I really, what does this mean to me? What the words that they have listed down here? And I'll say to my reader a lot, I have a guy who helps me with, he's a fellow actor from my theater company, and he helps me with auditions a lot. And I'll say to him, are we in the camp world here, or are we, what are we? And we just give it a go, because unlike being, in the room, right, you don't have the director there to help you interpret or understand. So you just have to make a choice and hope that you are circling the target.
What has been for you your most challenging or rewarding scene or role in the vertical space?
I just got done a project that I really, really enjoyed. It was called The Stable Girl and Her, I think it's Majesty Air, that shot in Los Angeles. And it was, I guess I was there for 8 days or so, and I played um, the lead male mother, the sort of the head of the estate, whatnot. That one I really, really enjoyed for so many reasons. I really loved working with this particular director. I thought the cast was just wonderful. I met John Henry Richardson and had the chance to work with him finally, which was really lovely. I mean, I made so many nice friends on that one. And what was interesting about this one was, which can be an issue in New York a lot, is the weather, right? Because, Los Angeles is perfect most of the time because the weather is. So here it happened to be cold in LA. This was over the last couple of weeks. And so that requires a little bit of a different, we had party scenes and things that were happening outside where we were in sheer and, and they did a great job of making sure we were all comfortable and whatnot, but it was chilly, I mean, it's cold, cold. So that, sensorially adds a whole nother level of, right, of a challenge to what you're doing. So if you really, and again, they did a great job of making sure the crew was so great about making sure that we were warm as we could be doing what we had to do. But, you do have to manage all of those neurological and like, sensory challenges while you're there, remembering the dialogue. So just trying to, act like it is. And these are challenges that obviously you face on many shoots. It's not unusual in that regard, but I don't think I've ever had one like that where it was quite as quite as challenging. Now, I didn't have nearly the challenges that the leads had in terms of like riding horses, being in dust, being on their knees, like things that they, the physical challenges that, they had to do. But I would say it wasn't the role so much. The role was enjoyable and was great fun, and I loved the equestrian part of it. I loved being around the horses, and being in that setting was really very relaxing and a whole new because it is interesting when you start to think about the jobs that you're offered and the ones that you want to do. I'm always I feel fortunate to be given any opportunity, but I'm always looking for what is the, how will this one be, uh, add to my experience?
Mm.
In what way will it raise the bar for me? Um, so, that one was a particular joy I had. Also, there was I have to say though, I literally have not had an experience yet where I didn't learn something or where I wasn't really excited to be there, or some of them are more challenging than others just depending upon so many complexities, but I love the work, and I love meeting new people, and so I think they each, and I try to select the scripts, I mean, if there's like a situation where I have to weigh in, like make a choice or something on an offer or something, I do want to have it raise the bar for me somehow as an actor. I want to, if it's just another kind of character, because I think
Yeah.
at my you know these character roles which I'm playing, they come in so many varieties, which is what's fun about it. You know, like there's so many different kinds of older ladies that can, find their way into these stories.
Yeah, that's true. Ooh, Mm, if you could talk to, if you could now talk to like your version that just started doing verticals, what would you advise her?
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah. Make sure you are well fed, well hydrated, well slept, because the days,
Mm,
depending on the age of this person, not that it really, I mean, not that not to make a comment about, that, but it's certainly true that I have noticed, 12, 14-hour days or 12-hour days, and then just depending on your commuting time and whatnot, if you're working it over the course of 8 days or however, and particularly for the leads and really anybody who's there, I mean, certainly for the leads, because, of all that they have to manage and the weight that is on their shoulders and whatnot, but also just in general, the support that we're there to give those actors. It really is it's like training for a sport, really. I did like a lot of competitive gymnastics when I was in high school, and it's training. I mean, certainly for sure, and all that training that you've done as an
yeah.
actor, I think really comes in handy. Yeah, just make sure you are, as to the degree that you can possibly control it as well, all of those things, hydrated,
Mm.
also just, be prepared, just know your stuff, know your lines. There's not a lot of time at all to get in there and get what you need. uh just be on your game always. I do think that is the best gift, like, we can each give each other, is just to be there, be ready to give as much as you can. It's not a terribly, um, I guess I would say, forgiving medium, in the sense that it has to roll so quickly.
Yeah,
So
I
you
get
just
what you mean.
yeah, it just there's not a lot of room for, um slack, you know? And there's just so many people working so hard all the time to make sure that all of this can happen. It's quite a puzzle and quite a picture, particularly when you run into something like, where you have a situation where, and I haven't worked on one of these where it's been outside and it's been a lot of rain or something. I mean, we had the cold and whatnot, and we were working through that, but I haven't worked, otherwise. And the amount of people that have to get called into service to make sure that people have coats and that there's heaters and like that you can just get through the shoot and everybody can do what they need to do. It's an extraordinary amount of time and effort and investment and just people working hard. So Yeah, it's really a team effort. It reminds me a lot of what needs to happen theatrically. You know, theater is quite the team sport. And it really requires uh, everybody giving, all they can, the best they can, when they can, and also, I would say, just to keep, I've had a lot of friends ask me about working on these and what my experience has been. And certainly some stand out in my mind more than others, but that might just be because it was a particularly um, juicy script, or this particular supporting character had some really fun, twists and turns.
Mhm.
But I've learned I I've learned so much about so many things, in the sense that any time, to my mind, spent on set is time that you're going to clock in your 10,000 hours of what it takes to really kind of get to the place where you feel like you can start to have some sense of like what you're doing, if that makes sense, um so I'm always surprised by what I will learn on a set in any given day, about myself, about other people, about storytelling. So I tell actors, I mean, I don't know that necessarily every actor I know would be happy in this format, because I think it's it has,
Yeah.
things that it requires of you that maybe um not everybody is gonna, I mean, and certainly there's the choices that you make about what kinds of stories do you want to be in, right? I mean, and we all have, there's a lot of conversation about that right now. Like, what are there stories you don't want to tell? Are there characters you don't want to? And I've certainly been in a number of verticals where I, where it was complicated in the sense of like actions or language or whatever, that, maybe felt like uncomfortable at the time, um, which then taught me a lot more about, about asking for specifics before you go into the situation.
Uh, what is your favorite genre to um, watch, or like acting?
Mm, acting in. You mean in vertical specifically, or just in general?
Just in general.
I don't know. I love I tend to get cast in more, I'd say, stylized kinds of roles. So horror, I love mystery, I love psychological drama a lot. Um, and certainly theatrically, with our theater company, that absurd genre is a heightened, style. I would love to do a murder mystery vertical. I would love to be in one of those, like a Clue kind of Agatha Christie sort of thing. I would really enjoy doing. But I don't know. I love um I don't know, there's not a particular, I guess, genre I like more than others. I think they all have their challenges, and I just think as actors, I find that I'm more likely to be cast in certain things than others, because of just shape of the face, the whole, the vibration that you send off, all of that.
What's a question that? Oh yeah, is murder mystery then, for example, something you want to see more of in the vertical space, or do you have anything you want to see like more or change in the vertical space?
The vertical space. Um, I love the variety of stories that are coming through now.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned earlier this week, I had, what was really fun is I probably had it was a number of auditions, and each one of them was for something different. There were a couple of mafia ones in there, and there was a vampire one, I think, and there was the rom-com I mentioned, and there was so there were and the scripts were all very different, and I love that because it even feels like within the vertical world, like the challenges and the opportunities are like widening, and I think that's really exciting for people. For people who it just brings in more people into the space who like working in different genres. I'm sure there have been many. I don't get to watch as many as I would like to watch with the schedule, but I'm sure there are murder mystery ones being done, and I just haven't seen them yet. But I love the idea of a bunch of people locked in a house, like the film Clue, and just like I love all the different characters and like who did that, who done it. A little bit campy, and just hijinks is a lot of fun, I think. I'm I in terms of things that I would like to see done differently, I feel like the folks that are working as leads are doing, from what I can see, a wonderful job of speaking out, and also the fans and the folks, like yourself, who are making platforms are doing a really good job of saying, "Hey, we have to look at this." And because I'll see something on Instagram, I'll see something and think, "Oh, I'm so glad that person spoke up," or because they are very visible, and they have the experience and they have the knowledge behind them to be able to say, "Hey, like we need to do better in this regard." So I'm one of the people that is cheering those folks along every step of the way. Everybody who's coming out and saying, "Please, please, please, can we look at this? We need to look at this," because it's absolutely it's absolutely what I'm thinking and seeing. And I have friends that work on these up in Vancouver, and are saying similar, saying the same thing. So it feels like there is change afoot, but I'm probably not the best person to speak to that because I'm not, working in those lead roles. Although even from my vantage point from the bandstand, I can see that changing. And I think we all have to just say, have learned a lot along the way about just, ask for the script up front and make sure it is a project that you can 35 million% get behind, and that you're going to be able to execute this character in a way that is going to give it truth and meaning, and that the viewers are going to like be able to understand, and if you have qualms about what you're doing, it's going to be because you always want to make nice with your character, to like find a way in. So if you have, it's something we all know, if you have doubts about it, there's gonna be a disconnect.
Yeah.
you know
And I think if the actor is having doubts, it will be viewable on screen.
Yes, no question about it. My doubts, generally, I can pretty much get around most I'm saying all of the work that I've done. There was one where I jumped in for somebody last minute. They had an issue, and I jumped in, and I didn't take the time to ask about the specifics about the script and things. And there were some things where when I got into it, I was uncomfortable with some of the actions and whatnot, but like we were able to talk it through, and I was able to like get my questions answered and find my way through the obstacle of it. And it was the particular genre that it was, which was mafia. That is the world. This is not that I can speak authentically from that world, but from what I can observe of that world, I would say that is, this is the way it seems to work, so that's fair to be writing that. So it was some challenges within myself, then that I just had to like work my way through. particularly when there's children on set. That is, I'm a mom. My son is much older now, so but once a mom, always a mom.
Yeah.
And so, we love our kids on set. I love these kids. They're just so joyous and smart and just yeah, they are. And also the teachers, the caregivers, the parents that are there to support them. Yeah, you want to make sure that things are in place so that they have a good experience.
Yeah. Oh, do you have maybe a funny moment or like blooper that happened on set that you still remember?
Oh, right. Oh, yes. Um, so there is an actor that I've worked with a bunch of times who I just love, Hunter Cole,
Yeah.
and he's in New York, yeah. And we did a number of projects together, sort of in the 24-25 season, and we just had so many ridiculous moments on set. He's just a ton of fun to work with. I mean, I haven't met anyone I didn't enjoy working with a lot. We just, I think, worked on a number together. So there was and there was one in which I played his mother, and it was called, what was it? Oh, what was the name of that one? Lion's Dawn. Right. And he was in a wheelchair, and he was my, like, long lost son that came back into the, anyway. We were shooting one day at Princeton University, and it was cold. It was fall, but it was pretty chilly out there. And he was in this blanket and this gown, and it was cold, and he was in the wheelchair, and we were trying, just so long story short, I'm not getting to the point. The point of the whole thing was, so coffee plays a major role on set, right? So coffee is the thing that without it, the day does not get started. It just simply doesn't begin for me or for him. And so it always is just about finding the closest Starbucks that we can get to, near the location, right? That's the only thing that matters before we can get the day going. And so we started, and we were working, and it was, I don't know, we started really early in the morning. It was still cold out. There was frost and whatnot. And we hadn't had our coffee yet. So we finally, after a couple of scenes, rig how we're going. One of the PAs, who was just lovely, agreed to like go to the Princeton Starbucks for us to get us our coffee. So they go, they get it, they bring it back, and it's like nirvana, right? You think that you found the key to eternal life or something. And we get the coffee, and we're outside, and it's sitting down, and we go, I forget what happened. Well, we go to shoot a scene, and one of the other actors, like, just, and I hadn't drunk very much of it. It was literally like a gallon's worth of coffee. And it fell over. The coffee fell over. Like they just accidentally knocked it over. And I was like, you would have thought Timmy fell in the hole. I mean, it was like the well, I mean, like, I was like, what? And it wasn't that I was like angry at the person, because it was totally a mistake. It was just like, no, it's like when you're seeing a car accident happen in slow motion, and Hunter recorded it. He recorded my reaction, and I just had so much fun. Then there were these time when we were working on, I forget, we were in Secaucus, New Jersey, working at one of the places that stood in as our ballroom, of which there are like endless ball scenes that never stop, right? And so Hunter's like, and there was like fake fruit in one of the, like we were using fake fruit for one of the banquet scenes. And like, I picked up, I don't know, he picked up some like plastic grapes or something, and I picked up a peach or something, and he said, oh, this so reminds me of like the Real Housewives of fill in the blank, right? Here in America we have, and so we started on this ridiculous what they do at the beginning of the Real Housewives of fill in your blank city, of like holding up a piece of fruit or whatever the token like semblance of that city is. And we started our own series of like the Real Housewives of Secaucus or whatever city we happen to be in. And we had so much ridiculous fun just blowing off steam, basically, is what it is. So I don't know that there's so much video that exists of just the behind the scenes stuff, you know what I mean? Now there was on the last this one was funny on the last or maybe it wasn't funny, it was funny to me, but on the last one on the stable girl one, I had these really high heels on that the heel had kind of worn away on the bottom, and so like the like stub of the heel was sticking out, to which the wonderful costume wardrobe person did a wonderful job of like taping them up. But I had to like run a long way on a concrete, like in the stable to get to the event, right? And all I was doing, like praying before like the director called action, was just like, oh Lord, feet don't fail me now. Because like running in heels on concrete, you know, because it was concrete for part of the way and then we went into the dirt, right? And I was just like, oh God, just like let all of my track skills come back right now. Because if now fortunately I didn't, it was all well and good, but it was I was like, it was a feat and I was pretty proud of myself. I was like, all right, you did it. I don't wear a lot of, you know, heels unless I'm on set, because I'm not that tall. So generally I'm either standing on an apple box or I'm in really high heels, you know, to at least get me to the height of like the people that I'm playing around or within reach. Yeah.
If you have to recommend a vertical that you have been into, a friend that just learns about verticals, which one and why?
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Well, I guess it kind of depends on like
Nothing.
what they like, you know? I mean, like, I've done a couple of werewolf ones that I really enjoyed. One out in Los Angeles that was really fun. And I'm gonna have to look the name up for you, which I should know these things. But I liked working on Seducing Mr. Sterling, which was one
With
with
Eric and Kira.
yeah, it was a shot in Mexico with Purple Light Pictures, um, Dimitri and that group, and that was a great fun going to another city to shoot, you know, particularly in Mexico. I enjoyed that one a lot. I really enjoyed this last one I worked on as a sort of like a lovely like love story, you know. It hasn't obviously it hasn't come out yet, but I enjoyed the process of it very much, and I thought as a different sort of genre in it, that one is fun, you know, fun to look at. Let me take a really quick look here at my list because oh, you know, we forget the titles.
Yeah,
Uh,
or they are the longest ever.
yes. Oh, okay. This one was fun. Oh, and there were lots of bloopers on this set. This was Step Back, Nothing Escapes the Eagle. That was a recent one that came out. And that one that one was a lot of fun too. It had a lot of sort of guns and overtones in it. The cast, we had a great deal of fun. The guy who played my son in that one, we had all kinds of silly fun, just being, you know, uh, popping off and being ridiculous. So the one in in Los Angeles I shot was called My Miracle Luna.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, with yes, with that group was really fun. Griffin. Uh, and oh, I don't know. There's just been so many fun ones. Lion's Dawn was really fun. Um, I loved a couple that I early on shot with Mariah Moss and Hunter. which
Yeah.
were a lot of fun. Stolen Heiress. Oh, and then there was a really fun one called My Father's Guardian Angel that was Teague was in, and that one, um,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that one was really fun because it had a little bit of a different storyline to it. Just texturally, it was a little bit different. And Teague is so much fun. He's just a lovely actor and person to work with. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I guess it kind of just depends on what
Yeah.
your interest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Du- du- du. What helps you relax on hard days?
On hard days,
Yeah.
what helps me relax? Yeah, I would say letting off steam is certainly a good one, so finding the castmate that you can goof around, not goof around in the, like, you know
I get
we're being disruptive sense, but goof around in the we're just having
joke,
fun now.
joking.
Joe, yeah, the finding your actors that you can, I also really enjoyed many really wonderful conversations with Teague about just acting in general, and he went to school in New York, and just, sort of the the process of that, and sort of, digging a little bit deeper into not specifically what we do in this set, but just in general, like theories and thoughts and favorite roles and what roles we'd love to do on stage, and talking more about that. That's a great way to let off steam. I also try, when the days are not really, really long, to go to the gym if I can. Just for me, that helps a lot. Just throwing around a little bit of weight is super helpful. Um, so, yeah, those are some of the things I do. And just really trying to get enough sleep for me is sleep is key to everything for me.
Yeah.
And I need a lot of it. So it makes it challenging sometimes.
Mm, du- du- du. What, what or who inspires you in to do acting?
Oh, what or who? In terms of just other actors, or
Yeah, or for example, I gonna use myself. I am a writer, so I what inspires me is like my best friend, for example, or just life situations that I had. That's a example.
what inspires me? I think at the root of a lot of my passion for the craft of acting and storytelling lies in a situation that happened I mean, I think we talked earlier about, when I was pretty young, I was producing when I was just like really young.
Yeah.
And I always loved getting people together and making something together with other people, just creating. But I was in a car accident when I was a teenager, and it was a pretty bad situation in which not everyone that was in the car survived. And by all accounts, I'm pretty lucky to be here. And it ended up in a longer, like, you know, it took many, many months for me to come back to, being able to be mobile again and whatnot. And I think about that a lot. I certainly thought about it a lot then, but it's continued to stay with me for the rest of my life, which is like, why why was I spared, right? And no one, not no one, but why were others not in that? And that's a, question that we'll never know the answer to. But it did say to me that one thing to think about is that there's work to do. You have work to do. There is something about your life. And that's, who knows what the reason is, but it did and has stayed with me that there's, which we all have a purpose, but to lean into that purpose, to be clear about that purpose, and to really to put all of my energy into figuring out what that purpose is. And I think with creative people, as you well know, I went to school for journalism, so I love writing, and I love and I had initially thought that I would go into news, like journal news, like reporting, which I did for a while. um so I think often for creative people, there's so many things that present themselves, and it can be hard to hone it down.
Mhm.
Times, like,
Yeah.
which, and I don't think that you necessarily have to. I think you can be a director, a producer, an actor, you can do all those things, but that initial, like, thinking, lean into and listen to your instincts about what your purpose is, and no matter how rough and hard it may be at times, um you know and I think the hard and rough part of it comes from, like, have what does it mean to be doing that thing, to be whatever succeeding to you? What does it mean to you to be doing that? And for me, I love working. I really, I mean, obviously there's bills to be paid, but I just love the process of it and the working. And I think the energy to keep going and to keep exploring comes from that question about, what am I here to do and say?
Yeah.
I think that's the largest influencer. Also, my son, and there's certainly many, many actors that I look up to whose work I admire very much.
Yeah. Um, I I think I'm gonna have to choose a few because we're already almost at the hour, I see.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I don't have a heart out, so just, get what you need.
Okay. Do you have any specific thing you do when you arrive on set before filming?
Mm. I do have a routine. I'm a pretty routine person, in the sense of, like, I tend to go to bed pretty much around the same time and wake up around the same time, regardless of, like, what I'm doing. And then, really so much so on
Also,
set,
also if
you know,
you're not working?
what's that?
If you're not working, do you still have that same routine?
I do, because, like, generally, if I'm even not on set, like, I still have most days auditions to get done. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I try to look at it in that same way, like it's my job, obviously. And I also still do a little bit of work I've worked in medical education for many years, working with med schools. So I still fill in with that work when I can, because I really enjoy the work, and I like working with the students a lot. So I'm juggling a lot, as we all are, juggling a lot of things during the day, and a schedule and sort of like a routine helps me to stay. So I try to go to the gym if I can, as many days a week as I can. Um, then there are the auditions. And when I'm on set, it's important for me to get there early. It just is, because I don't like to be rushed in anything I do,
Mhm.
And I know that once I get there, the day is going to be full of hurry up and wait and rush and stop and rush and stop and rush. And that's a lot on your body, So um I just, particularly if I'm working in an area, like, say I'm working in a city that I don't know as well, or I haven't worked in before, like, I just need to take extra time to make sure I'm there on time. And I also like to be able to eat, and I don't work well on an empty stomach. I work well on stage on an empty stomach, but not on these kinds of days. So it's not it isn't the same exact things every day. I don't eat the same things every day. I don't, but I would say I do pretty much the same things every day. And most of that is just giving myself enough time to, to relax and to, get prepared for what's ahead, and also to be prepared for the fact that things are going to shift around and scenes may be moved around, and try to be prepared, like, you're going to need your energy for whatever changes as well, and what you have to do in a short amount of time that you weren't expecting to have to do. It's just the way it is. um yeah, I'm a pretty routine. I mean, I'm not routine in the sense of, like, I like to try new things, and I like to take risks, but I would say, like, in my, like, the literal going through my day, I, you know, I I pretty much know when I wake up in the morning, like, how my day is going to go.
Yeah.
You know, not down to the, maybe not down to the hour, but pretty much it's like I have these things I need to get done today, and this is the order I'm going to do them in. You know,
Yeah, I do the same. So yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think for certain types of personalities too, and like who I am, it's really useful to have a lot of structure.
true. I agree with that. Do, do, do. What is something you still hope to achieve, like in the future or this year?
Oh, wow, yeah. Um, huh. Well, I got an audition that I have not done yet this week for um a lead in one of these. I mean, I think it's a character alongside of another character, and they're kind of leading this, which I thought was really interesting. I don't There's not as many stories so that's fun. And I thought, oh, this would be a lot of fun to do. I still, there's a number of uh, network shows that I'm auditioning for that would be that I really like the shows a lot, and I think would be fun to, to work on. Um, I would like to get to Switzerland at some point. I don't know if that's going to happen this year or whatever, because I kind of feel like we just live our lives now that since 2024, I pretty much don't make a lot of plans because we don't know how the schedule is going to go, right? We don't know when
Yeah.
things are going to come through. Amsterdam is another place I really want to be. Oh, my son is graduating from law school this year, so I am so excited for him about that. That's happening in the spring. That's just I'm so excited for him.
Congrats.
So yeah, a lot to look forward to.
Yeah. This one I already asked. How do you prepare for vertical characters
For what?
for your roles?
Oh, read the script a couple of times, obviously do all of those things. And I do keep a book where I write down. I do this with theater too, and I'm getting ready to direct a production of Samuel Beckett's Endgame, which is coming up later on in the year. And I love to sit in a cafe with a great cup of coffee and just read a play or read the script or whatever, and just have a pencil. I still use a pencil and a pad of paper, and just whatever images come into my mind is what I write down. And sometimes I might draw a picture or something, which are my initial thoughts about the character as I'm reading it. And when if I'm trying to decide, is this a script like I'm, privileged to be asked, is this something that I think I can bring something to, you know, so yeah, I would just, can be adjectives, could be like thoughts of a time and a place where I could see this character. um I think of music that reminds me of the story and or of the character that is useful, and sometimes I listen to music when I'm on set, just kind of to relax. You had asked about relaxation before, and sometimes I think, music for me is a really um it's so funny because on the plane coming back from Los Angeles, I sat next to a sound designer, a film sound designer, and we had such a lovely conversation about how music is just the quickest way for me
Yeah.
to get to the place, the heart, of a character. So I do use music a lot, or I listen to music a lot, and I think about music a lot, because I think it's just like the universal language, of pulling us into. Um, so those are some of the things that I do. And then it's always influenced by who you're going to be working with, even though you don't have that long, you may not have that long to get to know them before you're going to be working with them. But then the character might change, you know, I mean, depending upon the scenario or the costume or whatever, there's always an open door to make slight adjustments, I think. And then obviously what your director, wants you to do,
Yeah.
based on your read through or, whatever they're sending your way.
While you were talking, you answered also one of my next questions. This one I already asked. Which acting job still sticks with you, like in your memory?
Which acting job?
Yeah,
In the vertical world?
general.
Oh, general. Okay. Well, I have one from each of them, I think. I mean, so I did a commercial recently for Nordstrom's, which is the retailer.
Mhm.
Um, they're celebrating, is it, oh, I should know this, 250, 200, 125 this year? I should know this because but anyway, I did a commercial for them recently to celebrate a big anniversary that they have coming up. I think it's 125. And we went to Colombia to shoot it. And Bogota, and I played a tailor because they have, in-house tailors still when you buy clothing there. And I just loved it. It was so much fun. I made clothes. When I was younger, I had a sewing machines and I made a lot of my own clothes, and I loved that part of my childhood. So I got to like work with this wonderful old machine, this sewing machine that was just like a sports car. It was so great.
Oh,
And I got to, on set work with all that. It was just a wonderful crew, and I was working with a young actor that I had worked with before, so that was a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed that. um on stage, I very much have loved you asked me specifically about film, so I won't talk about stage, but oh gosh, I don't know. It's I don't know that I have a favorite character in the vertical world that I've played. I've certainly mentioned I loved working in Lion's Dawn, and I love this one
mhm.
I just did a little bit ago, but also those were like larger roles that spanned more days, so I really got to know people more and, got to work with them longer, so that well may be influencing my thinking about that.
Yeah.
In terms of film, um I worked on a wonderful series on Screambox TV called The Trouble with Tessa, by these wonderful filmmakers, Dennis Kello and Bethany Watson. And I shot that. I think it was everything's running together, but I think it was last year. And I played, and it's this series about this. We shot it in the Hudson Valley up in New York, and I played this really weird librarian that like weird in the sense that she has all these secrets, and she's just like she's kind of the town keeper of the secrets, and the protagonist comes into the library, and I love libraries. Absolutely love libraries, and I love librarians, and I love playing librarians because I just like it's such an interesting world. And that shoot was so much fun. Just I loved working with the lead in that series, and that was great fun. So, I always love being on set. It doesn't really matter where. A lot has to do with the characters and just the story and like the surroundings. Who doesn't love being in a library? I mean, it was just great
Or
fun.
me.
Yeah. Oh, you don't like libraries? No, why not?
No, it depends. If it's a small library, then yes. But
Hmm.
if it's like a big
Yeah.
one, then not. I have a little bit of a library here at my home.
Yeah, so you've made your own home library that's
Yeah.
comfortable. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right. When you get in a really big one, like at some of the universities, it has its own it has its own feel to it.
Mhm.
This was a very small
Oh, yeah.
library in this tiny town up in, the hills and mountains,
Mhm.
of New York, and it was had such a lovely feel to it, like you remember when you were a kid, which I always have fond memories of the library when I was a kid.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
yeah.
Oh. If you could step into any existing TV show or movie, which one would you pick?
Oh, existing. Yeah. I would I would I would line up days ahead of time to be in any film that Wes Anderson was directing. Um, I certainly White Lotus is a huge favorite of mine, and I
Mhm.
just think Mike White is brilliant. So yes, there's that. But gosh, there's so many great. I mean, there's so many good television series that and
Oh,
procedurals. I haven't done a lot of work in procedurals, and I find that world really fascinating. The storytelling world of that. I love detective stories and all the great BBC, like rural Ireland, you know, murder mysteries that happen in the little town in Ireland. Those are great. I would love to go to Europe and work on something like that. So yeah, I don't know. It all kind of is interesting to me. I mean, certainly there's a show shooting in New York right now that I'm interested in a lot, and I've had a couple auditions for, so I'm eyeing that as well. It has to, yeah, it's set in the jewelry
mhm.
world. Um, yeah, there's a lot of things that interest me. That's not a terribly great answer because it's not specific, but it's true.
Yeah, it's a great answer. This one I also already asked. This one too. I have one, two, three. Wait. One, two, three, four, five, six. More questions, shorter questions.
Yeah.
What is your dream destination to go to, like personal or work? Work.
Oh, yeah. Well, Paris and London are always on the, and I visited both very briefly and would like to go back and spend more. But I have to say, I want to get to where my families are from, which is Amsterdam and Zurich. So, yes, I would love to go there and work or visit. Those are my dream places. But I've had a lot of great opportunities this year. Like being in Colombia was really
Mhm.
wonderful. Outside of Guadalajara to shoot Seducing Mr. Sterling was really great fun. So I haven't traveled a whole lot in my life outside of the United States, and so I've really enjoyed that part of it. I did have an inquiry about Shanghai, and I have a friend that was casting verticals here, still is casting verticals, but he is over in Shanghai now. So I'd love to get over there to see that city.
Yeah. Uh, oh wait, five more questions because this one you also already asked. If you could choose which of your vertical shows would get a sequel, which one would you pick and why?
Oh, oh, interesting. Okay. Wow. Only one? Oh boy.
Yeah, only one.
Only one. All right. I guess I would have to say the one we just did is that's not out yet. So it's The Stable Girl. Um, just because I think there was a lot of intrigue in the story with that because you had the estate manager and her daughter who were causing all kinds of trouble on the estate, and I'd love to see like that story developed, like, and I don't know, I just love the rural environment of it all. I thought it seemed to provide such beautiful, such beauty. Not that there isn't beautiful environment all over the place, but I loved like the addition of the horses. We had one shot where there was a scene with Travis on the horse, and I was there I'm just talking to him, but he's on the horse and I'm down. And I just put my hand was there, and the horse just started licking my like during the scene, like started licking my hand, and it was so much fun. And then I remembered, oh, I probably shouldn't put my hand there because they did tell us, hey, you listen, you just be careful because the horses can. And I love horses, and I rode when I was a kid, but I reminded myself, oh wow, I'm not really looking at what's happening right now with a horse. I should probably be very careful so that I'm not, but I digress. That was one that I think could like potentially have lots of interesting character development, in it.
Yeah. Oh, even though I know you have done quite a couple, like, I don't want to say evil, but it's also evil stepmoms. But did you have like a character that's, yeah, connected? Did
Oh,
the
yes.
connected
Uh-huh.
with?
Yes. I I connect with all of them, but in obviously, I mean, I hope I connect with all of them. That's not really, I mean, it's my perception, but it's mostly the audience's perception. I will say that the story in Lion's Dawn of the mother that runs it is the CEO that has lost her son and is trying to, those stories obviously are for me because I have a son and I would go to the ends of the world to make things happen, I mean, you know, not untoward thing, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
I
would,
get it. Mothers.
yeah, it's a mother
Yeah.
thing, and, but I do think even, so that one, certainly like was not, um, a stretch in that regard, right? I mean,
Mhm.
but what is fun are the ones that are just so far out there, like the aunt that is it the aunt or was it no, the grandma that is called to look after her granddaughter and instead goes out for a spa day, right? I leave her alone at home and I'm like, and I was like, what is going,
Baby Head is coming or something. It's called, I think. I
it,
think you
what,
mean
what
that one. You mean on Real Short with like Mike Jeffrey? It's the name, I think.
uh, they ended up titling it "Baby, You Had It Coming."
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah. Is that the one you were saying?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, where I get in there and, oh my heavens, she is just doing bad things. That was my first one where it was like, what is happening? Like really a lot of choreography and, a lot of fight stuff. Um,
that's how I know you.
oh, good heavens. Those are those you have to dig deep, I mean, I'm not trying to make myself out to be some angel or anything, but I really don't sit around thinking about how I can like leave children home alone.
Yeah.
um you have to find a way into it somehow, which just generally involves, okay, well, she's old enough to take care of herself. She'll be fine. And if anything happens, she'll take care of herself and she's going to be good because she's very mature, like justifying it every step of the way. That's the way it works.
Uh,
Oh, but I forgot. We could have a sequel on Christmas Homecoming of My Trillionaire Husband with Noah and Molly.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
there were so many bleeper, whatever. That Christmas thing was hilarious fun. That one was really fun too. Sorry, I digress. That
No, you can say
one was
whatever
really
you
fun.
want.
The Christmas ones are ridiculous.
Okay, then yes. If you could have, this is more like a funny question, then I have my ending one. If you could have any superpower in the world, which would you want and why?
Oh, superpower. Yeah, to heal cancer, maybe.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Whoa.
Or let's just make it more to heal. Yeah, physical and all or mental, suffering,
Yeah. Wow.
I think.
That's beautiful. Sorry. That's, I think, my favorite answer that anybody has ever given on that question.
Oh,
I mean it really, because more people are like flying and
oh,
teleportation, but I
oh,
really love your answer.
too. Yeah. So if we take it out of that realm, and I mean,
No, keep it with
still
it.
keep it in that realm, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Then I have as ending question, not really a question, but if you have a message to the people who've been watching your work, have been watching our conversation right now, or me.
A message,
Yeah, like
just that I think the change that you are the change, right? I mean, I think that's the change to the industry for better, is that the the aggregate energy and opinion and passion for the platform, for the vertical form, I think is the engine that is driving it,
yeah,
really. And because, at least for me, I we do the work, I don't say in isolation, but I mean, you do your job, you meet a lot of nice people, it's great, and then you move on to the next one, then you move on to the next one. Like, I don't have, unfortunately, because I sleep so much, because I want to sleep so much, the hours to watch as many of these as I would really like, or to be as like knowledgeable about what the big challenges are. I mean, I know what they are, from hearing what people are talking about and from being on set, but I think the real engine that will be the change, and that will be the growth, and that will be the sustenance of this is what you are doing, which is what the fans are doing, which is, really pretty much an incredible amalgamation of a lot of people's work, selfless work, to make it visible and to help people understand what it is and why it's necessary, or why we all love it, like working in it and watching it. I've never seen anything quite like it, that in my life, people just giving so much of themselves you know to make it better.
yeah.
So thank you. That's what I would say is thank you. And um, yeah, keep suggesting and keep speaking up and keep, you know, waving the flag for it, because I think there's a lot of stories to tell.
Yeah, I agree. That were all my questions that I had for you. I want to thank you so much for this great conversation. And sorry it took me so long to.
Oh gosh, no,
I felt
feel
really bad.
no, I feel privileged to be asked. And honestly, um, you know, I just enjoy being a part of this world, really.
Yeah,
So any way that I can, shed any anything towards it, I'm very appreciative to be asked.
hope you have a good rest of your midnight evening. Is it almost with you? I think.
No, we are. I'm 1:21 in the afternoon, so
Oh
I have a
yeah,
whole rest of the day. Yeah, you're getting on right
yeah.
into the
Evening.
evening. I have auditions to do and whatnot. So, but thank you, son, for your wonderful joy and like what you bring to the table.
You.
I think the fans need their own show.
That would be great.
Really?
No,
Need you.
but thank you.
Okay. Have a good night.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.